Greetings, brothers. This is Wayman Brown, creator of the EsquireProject.com, the number one site devoted to helping black men take a self-enterprising approach to life and be unstoppable. Be sure to check out the links in the description. Feel free to touch base, and I welcome you to yet another video. This next video is about finding peace about unfavorable situations where we were wronged by someone. Those times throughout our life where people looked down on us, where we were taken for granted and even taken advantage of in some situations. And over the years, we've been replaying these experiences over and over in our minds, many times, even several decades after they've happened. And all the while, we've been waiting for one thing, which is an answer to the million-dollar question. Why? Why did you treat me this way when I treated you like gold? Why would you hurt me when I never did anything to you? Why would you look down on me instead of encouraging me when you saw I had the potential? You saw I was trying to do something positive. Why would you take my kindness for weakness? Why didn't you appreciate all of my efforts that I put forth? Why couldn't you recognize the good within me? Why would you give your best to that person who gave you their worst, but you gave me crumbs when I gave you everything? Why did you look down on me? Why didn't you choose me? When you hear those questions, you envision yourself asking those things, I'm sure, to very specific individuals who you will want those answers from, and many more. They may have been former lovers, could have been your parents, your educators, associates, and other peers that you grew up with. And these questions, they've been occupying space in your mind for a very long time. And you probably think about these situations throughout the course of the day as well. Of course, nearly all of us, we've experienced some sort of a major letdown from someone whom we had a lot of trust in. And we put ourselves out there and we believe that our best efforts will be recognized and met with reciprocation in return or some sort of appreciation. But many times it was just the opposite. And we never got the answers that we wanted. The answers that we feel that we need from these people in order to move past these dilemmas in which they didn't meet our expectations or what we thought was appropriate. And because of this, we spend much of our day trying to figure it out for ourselves, trying to come up with all the different answers that may have been the reason why. Constantly trying to solve for X, trying to put together these intricate puzzle pieces, hoping that just one day we'll get that phone call. One day they'll send us a text saying, hey, I want to talk. We should meet up about this. And then you imagine being able to see that person finally. And you sit down and you get a chance to really give them a whole piece of your mind. Get it all off your chest. And you want an explanation, don't you? You want to know why. And you want that answer that they give you to make sense. And after you got it all, I should say, out of your system, You want a sincere apology. And you want an acknowledgement of guilt. And you want to finally take that deep breath, move on, and put it all behind you. Now you can be happy. Now you can get back to living your life. You know, when you listen to the lyrics of some rap songs, an art form that has been speaking to the spirit and the conditions of black men for several decades, some of your favorite artists express how much they want to show someone from back in the day whom they become now. Whom they become now that they've made it. After the teachers doubted their talents. After they had friends who they came up with who turned on them. When everybody in the hood used to clown them. They want to show their father who abandoned them the man that they become. They want to show the females that played them back in the day who they develop into. And in these lyrics, they often express how they just couldn't wait to get on, to floss, to show everybody that they made it. Yeah, look at me now. Now I'm that nigga. I bet you wish you wouldn't have shitted on me now, would you? And these lyrics are thoroughly embraced by many of our young brothers and some much older. Especially for the reason that they see themselves through the eyes of the artist's pain. And they in turn use their music as motivation to one day be able to be triumphant over the haters in their life as well, where they can prove the naysayers wrong too. They say that the greatest revenge is success, where instead of striking back at somebody or doing something malicious for the trouble and harm that they cause you, instead what you can do is take all of that pain, take all of that burden, and turn it into fuel. Turn it around and show them just how great you became without them in your life. Finally, you can pull up in that big body Benz, everybody's jaws dropping. When they used to clown you for being broke. Or maybe you made yourself into a businessman and you started your own company. And now your old manager from a previous job, who used to always try to embarrass you every day, exhibiting their prowess over you, now they're calling you for a job because now you've dominated a section of an industry that they still participate in. And now the former classmates that used to diss you for being too skinny or being too fat, now you can run into them and you look like you should be on the cover of a magazine now, and it's just the opposite because they're the ones who have fallen apart over the years. Or that female that chose another man over you back in the day and she told you that you weren't good enough. You can't wait to run into her, can you? Maybe at a Walmart and you see her struggling with 2 and 3 kids by 2 and 3 different niggas on welfare, hurting, looking 10 years older than what she is. Now, better yet, you would catch her on a nice strip in your town, pushing a stroller, and instead you strolling down the street GQ with a dime on your arm. You hope that she sees what she was missing. You hope she sees that she should have just stuck with you. And even as we're having discussions in the black male media spaces about taking some of our brightest talents and separating ourselves from the broken parts of the black community and rebuilding, and those who want to fall in line can come along, many times a big part of the motivation is to show the women within that populace who made the worst decisions and picking the wrong men to mate with, always showing the dope boys love, always loving the dudes in the streets and the guys who destroy the community that they come up in. A lot of times it's to show that they should have respected their intelligence because they were the best options from among our people. And instead of disrespecting them, instead of looking down on them, they should have admired them for their self-investment. They should have admired them for their discipline and for pursuing noble choices that are much more in harmony with societal growth. But there are two main issues with using revenge as your motive for success. The first issue is that the idea of being able to one day throw it back in a person's face after they did all of those things to you, it really shows that you're still allowing them to control you from afar. Even decades after they haven't even interacted with you, sometimes they may have not even thought of you anymore. Now here we are as men of self-investment, trying to prepare ourselves and equip ourselves to be better versions of ourselves, to stretch our capacity. One of the things that we must do is master the concept of self-reliance, where when it comes to all things, but primarily when it comes to the most important thing, which is the only thing that we really have full control over in this world, and that is what takes place within the circumference of our own mind. It's the only thing over which we've been granted absolute control. Nothing else in the universe can be under our guide in the same way that our thoughts can, which of course influence our emotions. And of course, that influences our behaviors and thus produces our outcomes in life. So we have to work on this self-reliance, particularly when it comes to our thoughts, looking inward first and primarily to have our needs and desires met. Recognizing that if we have to look outside of ourselves for anything that is not within our personal capacity, it's a weakness that'll always inhibit our growth and our expansion, and will only get to a certain point of self-development. Now, this, of course, is a work in progress. And when you think about it, it really may even seem as though it's not something that black men should even be worried about if they're using their ultimate tool for revenge as being successful to show other people who they are and what they did. Because it's already tough enough to make something of yourself in this world, let alone to be giving thought as to whether or not your motive behind making it should be called into question. Especially when many times we're the only one who really knows our motivations. But see, this isn't about anybody else but ourselves. This is only about us. Not allowing situations where we took losses to dominate our state of mind, because at that point, we're giving these people the same power that they had in the first place by letting their opinions influence our decision making. Think about it. They're still in control, just like they were when you felt humiliated. Because in this case, we're looking for validation from them. We want to show them what we've done, whom we've become, so that they can finally recognize. But isn't that leaving the power in their hands? If we're basing any portion of our worth on them finally being able to see us for whom we are and what we've done, are we not playing a dangerous game of emotional Russian roulette? The same game that created this problem of self-doubt in the first place. It's almost like when a person says that they don't want to be judged. But at the same time, they look forward to and embrace compliments. And in fact, they do certain things in order to get the compliments. They dress in a certain way in order to receive the compliments. They put the cologne on in order to be noticed. Being noticed, why? So that you can hear some kind words in return and feel better about yourself. Even your recognition is still a form of judgment. A person is still coming to some sort of a conclusion, even if it's a positive conclusion. Judgments are both negative and positive. So when people say that they don't want to be judged, what they're really saying is, I don't want to hear about the bad stuff, but I'll accept the good stuff. They want what's favorable, but not what's unfavorable. But they are both two sides of the same coin. Because we want to avoid things that demerit our character, but we want to embrace things that elevate us through commendation. So if we really don't want to be judged, then we shouldn't want to be judged positively either. Now, the reason I say that and use that as a reference for what we're discussing is because to truly reach a new height, to really get closure, we have to learn to let go of any attachment to another person's opinions of us and ideas that they've internalized. We have to let it go. We have to learn to not base any portion of our self-worth on another person's ideas. The second issue with attempting to use success as the best revenge is this. What if they never see your success? What if they die before you get a chance to show them who you were? What if the person goes brain dead? Or they're in a mental asylum? Or they have some sort of other disorder where they never got a chance to see all that you've done? Something a lot of people don't think about. What if they don't even care? Or they don't even recognize what you've done as being anything merit-worthy? Then what? Will you go insane because You worked so hard throughout your life to be able to show them something, to be able to prove something to them. Will you work even harder now because in their eyes, yeah, I see you came up, but it still ain't nothing special? Why do you need their approval so much? Why do you need to understand why and how they think so much? You see, brothers, closure never really comes. We never really get the true answers to any of this stuff that has happened to us. When you think about all these different unfavorable experiences, you conjure these images up. You just want to know why so bad. You just want to understand so much, don't you? You just want to be able to get it. But there are really only two remedies for closure. One is in observing the lessons that you can learn from your experiences. What did you learn about yourself when you were dealing with these unfavorable circumstances with other people? What did you gather about yourself when you allowed yourself to get played by that chick? What did you learn? Did you learn about your own weaknesses and insecurities and how you can become very dependent on a woman? Did you learn anything when it came to the peers who always criticized you, who never thought that you were good enough? Did you learn that it's important for you not to base any part of your value on what other people think, and that it's important not to try to force yourself to be accepted in areas where you're not wanted? Did you learn that perhaps you should establish your own institution of what you think is appropriate and bring other people on board who are on board with your ideology instead of trying to force feed yourself among other people who aren't even worthy of your value anyway? Are you looking at the lessons that you can learn about yourself, the lessons that you can now share with other people? What did you observe? In all these situations, there's something that you can learn about you, because had you crafted a strong monument of self-esteem and worth before these people even got a chance to influence you, 9 times out of 10, you would have never even had these experiences. The second thing that you can do in order to move past these failures that you've experienced with other people is you can visualize for yourself what it is that you want from them. Because as men of self-reliance, as we mentioned, having complete control of our thoughts is of utmost importance, because it regulates everything else that we do. The thoughts regulate the feelings. They determine how we're going to feel as men. So do you remember when we talked about how you wish you can get that sit down meeting with that person and they can explain everything, you can hash it out, perhaps even shake hands or give or get a hug, or perhaps it's neither, and you just finally get a chance to give them a piece of your mind. But what you ultimately want is their humility. You want them to recognize that they were wrong more than anything. Well, here's how you can do that. You may find this exercise helpful. Now imagine going to an empty park by the water. It's a beautiful park on a beautiful day. And you take a seat on a bench. You look out over the water. You notice the sunlight glistening and hitting the water and the birds flying over it. And you examine the peacefulness of the waves of this body of water. You're looking good. You're feeling good about yourself. And then you see that you're not the only person in the park anymore. You see a stranger approaching you, walking in a very slow pace, almost as if hesitant. And they sit right next to you on the bench. And you notice that this is the same person that did you wrong. And as soon as you see them, all of those negative emotions that you've been having, all the anger, the spite, the rage, the hate, it all boils up and it pours out of your face, where any person can see that it is indeed poisonous to your spirit. And imagine that person turning to you and looking you square in the eye. And the first thing and the only thing that comes out of their mouth is this: I am so sorry. I know I was wrong. You didn't do anything wrong to me. You didn't do anything to deserve this. I was only treating you the way that I knew how. Please forgive me. And the person fades away. You get up. You look once more at the beautiful body of water, and you reflect for a moment. And you go on about the rest of your day. You go on about the rest of your life. My brothers, keep your mind strong. May wisdom be with you. One love.